जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha. Mridanga? Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari 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 Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vrajajanaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Jaya Vrajajanaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya, Jaya Jaya Radhe, Jaya Jaya Shyam, Jaya Jaya Shri Vrindavan Dham, Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe, Govinda Radhe Gopala Radhe, Govinda Radhe Gopala Radhe, Jai Jai Radhe Jai Jai Shyam, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham, Radhe Jai Jai Shyam, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. कलियुग पावन हरि नाम संकीर्तन की, श्री श्री गौर निताय की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, समावेत भक्त वृंद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं, श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता शिष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिते नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः वंदे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद सहोदितौ गौडोदये पुष्पवन्तौ चित्रौ शब्दौ तमोनिधौ आजानुलंबितभुजौ कनकावदातौ संकीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वम्बरौ द्विजोरौ युगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं उदीरये। अष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Please repeat this verse 1.15.22. We are reciting from the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Rājaṁs tvayānupṛṣṭānāṁ suhṛdāṁ nah suhṛt-pure vipra-śāpa-vimūḍhānāṁ nighnatāṁ muṣṭibhir mithaḥ rājaṁs tvayānupṛṣṭānāṁ suhṛdāṁ nah suhṛt-pure vipra-śāpa-vimūḍhānāṁ nighnatāṁ muṣṭibhir mithaḥ rājaṁs tvayānupṛṣṭānāṁ suhṛdāṁ nah suhṛt-pure vipra-śāpa-vimūḍhānāṁ nighnatāṁ muṣṭibhir mithaḥ। सुहृदां न सुहृत्पुरे विप्रशापविमूढानां निघ्नतां मुष्टिभिर्मितः। माताजी स्वयानुपृष्टानां सुहृदां न सुहृत्पुरे विप्रशापविमूढानां निघ्नतां मुष्टिभिर्मितः। vāruṇīṁ madirāṁ pītvā madonmathita-cetasām ajānatām ivānyonyaṁ catuḥ-pañcāvaśeṣitāḥ। Rajan, O king, tvayā, by you, anupṛṣṭānāṁ, as you inquired, suhṛdāṁ, our friends and relatives. Naha, our suhṛt-pure, in city of Dwaraka. Vipra, Brahmanas, Shapa, by the curse of Vimūḍhānāṁ, of the befooled. Nighnatāṁ, of the killed. Muṣṭibhir, with bunches of sticks. Mithaḥ, among themselves. vāruṇīṁ, fermented rice. Madirāṁ, wine. pītvā, having drunk. madonmathita, being intoxicated. cetasām, of that mental situation. ajānatām, of the unrecognized. Iva, like. Ivānyonyaṁ, one another. catuḥ, four. pañcā, five. Avaśeṣitāḥ, now remaining. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, His Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. O King, since you asked me about our friends and relatives in the city of Dwaraka, I will inform you that all of them were cursed by the Brahmanas, and as a result, they all became intoxicated with wine made of putrefied rice and fought among themselves with sticks, not even recognizing one another. Now all but 4 or 5 of them are dead and gone. Among the friends who have drunk wine, they became enraged and killed each other with handfuls of Yeraka reeds. Only 4 or 5 remain. Vāyena Bhagavata Ishwarasya vicheshtitam mito nighnatāṁ bhūtāni bhavayanti chayan mithaḥ. Actually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord, the personality of Godhead. Sometimes people kill one another, and at other times they protect one another. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to the anthropologists, there is a nature's law of struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. But they do not, but they do not know that behind the law of nature is a supreme direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the law of nature is executed under the direction of the Lord. Whenever, therefore, there is peace in the world, it must be known that it is due to the goodwill of the Lord. And whenever there is upheaval in the world, it's also due to the supreme will of the Lord. Not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. Whenever, therefore, there is disobedience of the established rules enacted by the Lord, there is war between men and nations. And the surest way to path of peace, therefore, is dovetailing everything to the established rule of the Lord. The established rule is that whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we sacrifice, and whatever we give in charity must be done to the full satisfaction of the Lord. No one should do anything, eat anything, sacrifice anything, or give anything in charity against the will of the Lord. Discretion is the better part of valor, and one must learn how to discriminate between actions which may be pleasing to the Lord and those actions which may not be pleasing to the Lord. An action is thus judged by the Lord's pleasure or displeasure. There is no room for personal whims. We must always be guided by the pleasure of the Lord. Such action is called yoga karma kaushalam, or actions performed which are linked with the Supreme Lord. That is the art of doing a thing perfectly. Correct up to this, no? Right? Yeah. So welcome all of you for the Srimad Bhagavatam class today. Actually, this Maushal Leela is explained in the 11th canto, first chapter. You see here. So to cast upon the dynasty, I have underlined some important portions which we can refer to when we are discussing this pastime, so that we can understand what the acharyas have said about it. Is very important to know. So in the verse which we read just now, there is one phrase called as vipra-śāpa-vimūḍhānāṁ. Once upon a time, the Yadukumaras, a group of them, went to one mandapam where many of the saintly persons were present together. Narada was also there. So they covered the body of Samba. And then they took him, and then with artificial humility, playfully, they asked the saintly persons, here is a girl who is pregnant, but she is very shy to ask all of you whether she will get a boy or a girl. Can please all of you give a clue to her? So the Brahmana said, oh, you want to know who is going to be born? Iron rod will be born. Like that they said angrily. Because the saintly persons understood that these boys are teasing us. They have, their behavior is teasing behavior, improper behavior. So they got a vipra-śāpa-vimūḍhānāṁ, it is said. So one acquires fool by being rejected by the Vaishnavas or by being cursed by the Vaishnavas. Or one becomes wise. Even a fool can become very wise or a great soul when one is blessed by the empowerment by Vaishnavas. Just the opposite, you can see that. So you can imagine the Yadu Kumaras, they were born in Yadu dynasty. They were actually surrounding Krishna and lived a life of very great opulence. They brought the Sudharma assembly from the heavenly planets down to earth to make it as a parliament for Dwarka. And no demigods could protest. So they could bring the Sudharma assembly here. And the opulence of the Yadus in the world was so extraordinary. Nobody can equal them or surpass them. They were the topmost dynasty in the whole world at that time. With all these opulences in their hands, in their disposal, still this one small mistake happened with them, that they went to these Brahmanas and they spoke like this. The Brahmanas became unhappy with them. So one should not enrage the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. One should not displease the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. One should not take them for granted or be careless in dealing with them. One should not tease them, make a mockery out of them, thinking that these are poor fellows, and they're homeless, they're penniless, and they are insignificant in society. Look at me, look at my opulence, how great I am. This kind of thought process is an erratic thought process. And so in this way, playfully, when they asked the Vipras, they cursed them. So, and then they were wondering, what is this? How can somebody beget an iron rod? But sure enough, when they opened the cloth, they found iron rod coming from the belly. So then they ran to Ugrasena, king. And they went and told the host read Ugrasena. Ugrasena said, my lord, it's a very big blunder. Okay, don't worry. You just crush it into powder and throw it in the ocean. So they didn't bring the news to Krishna at all. Krishna is not a small person, he's a very important person, but they didn't inform. Sometimes you find somebody commits a mistake and the matter doesn't go to authorities up. Because for various reasons. One reason is people try to bury it at this level only. So many things which are big blunders are buried at the bottom level, later on will surface, you will see that. So then when they did that, and then they thought it's done, we are done with it, we are free now. But then eventually, in this situation, you will see that the ocean brought back those iron powder, and then they started, growing stalks. Stalks means like sticks. Tall sticks started growing, and they were like reeds. They were grown and waiting to be acted upon. And this occasion, once when they went there, of course, they gave a lot of charity also, it is said. They gave a lot of charity and everything. They have good souls, pious souls, punyatmas. But that doesn't free us from, the offenses we have committed. Even though one may be, like for example, Rahugana was a very, very pious personality. He was going to Kapilashrama to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he was a very good soul. But somehow or other, momentarily he became afflicted by false pride and he lost his temper while dealing with Jada Bharata. You can see that. That's why the material world is a very dangerous place. Dhruva Maharaj is such a great soul. He had seen the Lord eye to eye and returned back with royal procession. and he was posted as a king on the throne. And he was a pure devotee. He has seen the Lord, everything. Even after that, once he became extremely enraged with yakshas. One yaksha killed his brother and he wanted to wipe out the whole yakshas race, for which he was corrected by Swayambhu Manu. So, Bharat Maharaj similarly goes to forest, and in the last part of his life, when he is about to go back to Godhead, his bhava and tears of love for Godhead is streaming down his eyes, and every morning he is looking at the sun, and Surya Narayana, he is meditating upon the form of Narayana and chanting the Rigveda mantras in such a pure and pristine setting of the forest. Everything is wonderful. It appears that there is no problem. Now he is going to go back to Godhead. But then his compassion upon a deer turned out to be a misplaced compassion. And he developed attachment and got into trouble, and then had to end up becoming a deer for a lifetime. So one lesson we all learn is the path of Bhakti Yoga is a consistent commitment, not an occasional outburst. Just yesterday only we were discussing this point, the Bhagavatam class. Actually the consistency, just like for example you're driving a car, one brahmachari was driving a car from Pune to Mumbai. One problem is brahmacharis, they always go late night and get up early morning many times. And they do programs, So they had done some youth program which went on till 11:30, and then morning they got up at 4 o'clock, only 3.5, 4 hours of sleep. And that too, there was some Bhagavatam class in Bombay. They said, we want to go for that. Some Maharaj is giving, we have to go. So he was driving the car, Karjata somewhere at one point of time. Little bit he dozed. So the sumo, like that, he fell into the wedge between the two roads, some kind of this thing. Just fell. There was an accident. Of course, nobody died and all, but people got hurt in that. So the point is, momentary lapse, big price we have to pay sometimes. Like Mataji is cooking in the kitchen, the curtain is flying in the wind repeatedly, and it is coming close to the fire. Some or other she is not, she doesn't have that presence of mind that the curtain is coming close and fire is here, anything can happen. But then when she is little neglectful, she goes out here and there, immediately the curtain catches fire. The whole kitchen is burnt down, charcoal black. You can see that. So, momentary neglect, big price one has to pay. You heard that accident which happened in that Dandekar bridge, not Dandekar bridge, that God bridge, is that? Near the Sinhagad. That's one bridge. Recently, one car went out of control. It hit almost 30 cars. It damaged. You heard that? Recently. Which bridge was it? Navle bridge, yeah. Navle bridge. Correct, Navle bridge. One car hitting 30 cars, and some cars got dent, some cars got big damage also. So one momentary neglect of a driver. So one lesson we can learn dealing with Brahmanas, Vipras, Vaishnavas, we always can be on the careful side. You see, this Indradumna Raja, he had done his, he had completed his term as a king and went to forest for Vanaprastha ashrama, and staying in a beautiful place of waterfalls. In Tamil Nadu, it's a place called Kutralam, they call it. Pani, the water will be coming down, just like Niagara waterfalls, like that will be coming. Even today you can take bath there, Kutralam, that's the place. So below that there is a mountain cave in which he was living, peacefully practicing Krishna consciousness, meditating on the Supreme Lord. Everything is wonderful, and he's a peaceful, pure soul, very peaceful minded. Life is going on. But Agastya and his disciples came one day, and he was a bit careless in welcoming them, and hosting them and feeding them something. In guest reception, there was some lapse in dealing with Agastya Rishi. Agastya Rishi said, "You are so dull, like an elephant, become an elephant." So he became an elephant. This is called as offense of omission. And what Rahugana did was offense of commission. So we should take care of both. Offense of omission, offense of commission also. Now Bureau members are coming to Pune for a 3-day meeting. We have to take care not to commit an offense of omission or commission. Great souls are coming. So pleasing great souls means they are very advanced souls, we have to be very attentive. in serving them, taking care of them. So, in this way here, vipra-śāpa-vimūḍhānāṁ. So, because they got the vipra-śāpa, which has happened. Now, how do we see that? Now, our big question mark comes in our head as soon as we hear about these yadus. If they are all Krishna's associates, they belong to the eternal spiritual world. How can this happen to them? That kind of question comes to us in the mind. One thing is they are very powerful. How can such powerful personalities become victims of such sharp? That's one question. Another question, they're Krishna's associates. How can such a thing happen to them? Just like we respect the Yadus, just like we respect Vrijabasis. Vrijabasis are associates in Vrindavan, and Yadus are associates in Dwaraka. How can this happen to associates? That's another question that comes in our mind. Why they could not counteract this? That kind of. And another thing that comes in our mind is, we want, in spiritual life, we want everything to be rosy and cozy. We expect that. Then all the Yadus, when Krishna was ascending to his abode, everybody flew with him in different planes. And then in this way, there was a happy conclusion of the Lord's pastimes, and Lord went back to Godhead. That's what we wish to see. Correct, no? Anybody. In India, especially, people expect that, like one man was telling, live up to 80 or 90, and then one day, just relaxing in the easy chair, wife comes and gives you a cup of coffee, you drink it, and you close your eyes and you are gone. Peacefully. At home, so that, with everybody, and also Krishna Rama Govinda, you did puja in the morning, everything is over, you just sit peacefully. On the other hand, you find sometimes a person is getting cancer, he is bedridden, body is paining severely, he has to be taken to pain management hospitals, so many injections and so many bunch of medicines, passing stool, urine in the bed, nobody wants it. And such old people say that, let me quickly get rid of the body. So, of course, we say man proposes. So, we may have our own expectation of how things should be rosy and cozy, but material world is always a place of upheavals, Prabhupada says. Upheavals are very natural, he says, in the material world. So, therefore, let us see what is the answer that Acharyas give for these questions. Here he says here, if you see the underlined portion, actually I read it several times and I underlined vital portions. Lord Shri Krishna expertly arranged the great Kurukshetra battle between the Kurus and Pandavas and thus removed to a great extent the earth's burden. But the Supreme Lord, whose influence is inconceivable, was not yet satisfied. Because the continued presence of the undefeatable Yadu family, the Lord desired to bring about the destruction of the Yadu family so that he could completely wind up his pastimes on the earth and go back to his own abode. Now, what is that undefeatable Yadu family? Jiva Goswami has explained very beautifully. One of the Acharyas says that the Yadus were undefeatable, they were extremely powerful. Krishna thought that if I leave them and go, after I am gone, and in case they become irreligious, they will become a big thorn in this world. That is one thought process said. Another explanation given is, the Yadus will not be able to tolerate the separation from Krishna when he ascends to his abode. And due to not able to bear the separation, they will become uncontrollable in their behavior. And that uncontrollable behavior will cause problem to the world. That will become a burden to the world. That is another point also that is said. And by Krishna's desire, many great sages headed by Narada and Vishwamitra assembled at a holy place named Pindaraka near the city of Dwarka. This is the instance I was telling you. Yeah. She will give birth to a club that will destroy your family. Like that they said. Yadu was frightened by this because immediately lifted the garment from Samba's abdomen and found a club. And then all that I told you. Within the ocean, a fish swallowed the last remaining lump of iron and the waves carried all the bits of ground powder to the shore. Actually, and what the fish had taken, that was the lump which was used by Jara later on to send an arrow to Krishna's lotus feet. So you will see that one thing with Lord Krishna is, he lets the world take its course. And he will not try to interfere with the functioning of the world. You will see there are 33 crore devatas. Krishna will let them do their duties peacefully. He will not interfere unnecessarily. As leaders and managers, we also have to learn from Krishna not to interfere and do micromanaging when people are already doing something. And therefore, it is said in management also, get intelligent people first, don't get fools. Get intelligent people and hand over the service to them and allow them the freedom to think and do things very effectively, very nicely, without constantly micromanaging and spoiling the show. So Krishna also gets very qualified demigods to hold different administrative positions in the world, and they all do their work, and he doesn't come and interfere with it. And when he comes, you will find that, for example, the Vipra's curse that the Yadu dynasty be destroyed. And Krishna said, I am also born in Yadu dynasty. So whatever is applicable to my associate should also apply to me. Therefore, he allowed Jara to hit that last piece of lump at his feet, in order to prove that the Brahmana's word should not go in vain. You can see that. Yeah. So, where they were planted, eventually they grew into grove of canes. Fishermen caught the fish. The hunter named Jara used the iron lump found in its belly to fashion an arrow. Although the Supreme Lord, Lord Sri Krishna understood what was happening, he did not wish to do anything to counteract it. Rather, in the form of time, he sanctioned these events. Now, actually, Krishna is very, very inconceivable. Therefore, we will need a proper explanation of the acharyas to open our eyes to understand the reality. Otherwise, on our own, we won't be able to understand. So, for example, certain things Krishna counteracts. Like Ashwatthama is sending 2 Brahmastras, one to kill Pandavas, one to kill Parikshit. Now, Krishna is cancelling both. He is counteracting. Correct, no? Now, Arjuna took a vow to enter the fire if he couldn't kill Jayadratha on that evening. So, Krishna counteracted it. You will see that. And Bhishma is throwing volleys of arrows on, Arjuna. He knocked down the horses, knocked down the chariot. Arjuna is out of the chariot. And Arjuna just couldn't even pick up the arrows and place it in the bow and attack back, because Bhishma is just like showering volley of arrows. And Krishna thought, what is Bhishma doing? It seems he is determined to kill Arjuna today. Then Krishna immediately counteracted it. How he did? He became a Rathangapani. Picked up the wheel of a chariot and started charging against Bhishma. He ran to Bhishma. So, which means in many occasions we see when devotees are in trouble, Krishna doesn't tolerate. Brajabasis were in trouble, Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill and offered them shelter. Draupadi was in trouble, her man was in a stake, and then Krishna immediately supplied unlimited sari. Which means Krishna is commonly used to counteracting terrible situations that come upon devotees. It is a recorded thing, not once or twice, millions of times. You can show evidences from Shastra. But here, Yadus are going to have this Maushala Leela, the destruction of the dynasty. Why did Krishna not counteract? One may ask the question. If he did not counteract, that means he wanted it to happen. That is his will. Then the next question comes, why does he want it to happen? So let us see some other examples where Krishna did not counteract. The same Parikshit, whom Krishna protected in the womb of his mother, for Parikshit to be born, be the posthumous child, and rule over the world for a period of time, and then subdue Kali, and offer some 5 places to Kali, and then set the example of ideal pure devotee king, sitting on the throne and ruling the world by conducting Sankirtan all over the world. At the time of death, when Parikshit was cursed to pass away in 7 days, did Krishna counteract it? He didn't. So, and Parikshit also did not pray to Lord, please counteract my death and protect me. Did he pray? No. Therefore, there's a verse which says that. What is that verse? Nottamashloka-vārtānāṁ juṣatāṁ tat-katāmratam syāt-sambramanta-kālepi smaradāṁ tat-padāṁ-bhujam. That's a verse. It says that, now uttamashloka-vārtānāṁ juṣatāṁ tat-katāmratam. Those people who are constantly hearing Krishna Katha, absorbed in remembrance of Krishna, even at the time of death, syāt-sambramo anta-kālepi smaratam, they will remember Krishna's pastimes and go back to Godhead safely, and they will never be bewildered by why this is happening to me. Ambarish never asked Vishnu, why are you doing this to me? This fellow is making such a big demon and to kill me. I have done so much chanting, so much devotion service to you. Savai Mana Krishna Padarvanti, all that I have done. And now why are you allowing this Brahmana Durvasa to act against me? You will never find devotees blaming the Lord. If a fellow is blaming the Lord, he is not a proper devotee. Ambarish didn't blame the Lord. Prahlad didn't blame the Lord. You will never find them. Parikshit didn't blame the Lord. He didn't say that, Krishna, what happened to you? You didn't notice I am a pure devotee. Your pure devotee is in trouble. आपके शुद्ध भक्त को छोड़ दिया आपने, ऐसा कैसे छोड़ सकते हैं? He didn't ask like that. So neither do the devotees demand the Lord to protect them at such a situation, nor if the Lord is also not counteracting, that means Lord has an alternative plan. That is the proof. For example, Lord thought that if Parikshit is present on earth, Kali will have no scope to expand his activities. And what is his age called as? Kali Yuga. Then what is the meaning of Kali Yuga? Only namesake. It's called as Kali Yuga, but Kali is completely kept bound by hands and legs. He can't just expand his activities. It will be called as Kali Yuga, but it will be better than Satya Yuga also. Then Krishna thought that, now can any of you think about this? Why at all should Kali be allowed to spread his nefarious activities, ruining the beauty of the religious activities going on in Kali Yuga? Won't it be nice that if Parikshit existed till the end of Kali Yuga, we all got to see him even now, and he lived and then peacefully let Kali Yuga get over. So these are all very, very deep things given in the Shastra. You will see that actually some people need, like we say, laton ka bhut, baaton se manta nahi. Some people have to undergo the nastiest things they wish to do in Kali Yuga and get the greatest kicks for them to get purified. For example, you will see, sometimes imagine you make a very simple khichdi for breakfast. Somebody eats khichdi because it's not very up to their expectation. It is not, tikka is not there. Then they call some devotee and ask, is there some achar or something? Some pickles. They say, no, the pickles got over. And they eat it. Still not satisfied. When you're not satisfied, then you eat more quantity to somehow make up for this thing. But after that also, when they got up from the breakfast, somehow the day doesn't go well for them. They feel, today kuch maja nahi aaya. Because when mind is not satisfied, when the tongue is not satisfied, mind is not satisfied. When mind is not satisfied, we become irritated with everybody around. For small things, you get irritated because the prasadam was not good. Therefore, Prabhupada said, if you want to make devotees happy, prasadam should be top class. If prasad is good, anything else they will adjust. No problem. Okay, this was not there, that was not there, that's all right. But what should be pakka? Yeah, you can see that. So, now in the prasad, as I told you, somebody in Sattva-guna can eat very bland, no problem. But if somebody in passion or ignorance, they need that, taste for the tongue. Therefore, the Kali Yuga also, you cannot get these jivas through Kali Yuga, keeping them in Sattva mode, very beautifully in Sattva-guna mode, and then send them back to Godhead without purifying their anarthas. It is just like sometimes, we get a large number of boys for a camp. I was saying that in one of the camps, a lot of youths had come. Very new youths. 3 days, you try to put them through the program. In between the program, they go outside and lying outside. Correct? No? Why they lie outside? Because, they are not meant for such pure activities. Correct? No? They are only used to DJ, all kinds of nasty activities. That they need that passionate activities to, pacify their raging minds. They need that. So that is why everybody has a different food, correct? No? Tamoguni people have their food and Rajoguni. Food not only is this food, all the different senses. So Kali Yuga is designed by the Lord in such a way that, the people who haven't passed in Satya, Treta, Dwapara, they only come to Kali. So if they have come to Kali, if they are able to come to Krishna consciousness, that means their term is getting over in the material world. They have come to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says for a devotee, this is the last body. You finish this and go back to Godhead. But if somebody is not able to come, that means they need a little more purification. And the little more purification will mean that they have to indulge in some, like there are many patients, you may be aware, doctor tells them you are diabetes, you cannot eat sweet, but they will not obey. They will eat sweet and again go doctor and say, doctor, I can't stop eating sweet, you give me some medicine to get me better. And the kind of medicine they have to take will have a lot of side effects. They suffer that also. I have seen old people also taking a big plate of varieties of items in prasad. How will they eat it and how will they digest it? Only God knows. Because they put everything and say, Vaishwanar, now you take care now. Because Krishna says, Aham Vaishwanaro Budva. You put everything and pray to Krishna, Lord, you take care of my belly now. So the greed of the living entities makes them, enjoy temporarily and suffer bitterly later. And they have to go through that because of their desires. So therefore Lord knows, He allowed the Kali to spread his fangs in all direction by removing Parikshit from the scene. If Parikshit is not there, then Kali can do his job. And then all the living entities who need to be Latanga Bhut will get Lat and then they get purified. Without Lat, they won't get purified. Correct now. Otherwise, why sometimes I used to think when I was a small boy, why jail at all should be there, You just call the thieves and tell them don't steal, be a good person, I used to wonder, why should police people have the stick and the gun and all these things, I would think that, if I am allowed to go to jail, I will make them sit in a class and tell them the right thing. See, if you do this, you will suffer. Don't do this. If life was so easy, there would be no need of jails. But living entities are not, some living beings are Latanga Bhut. They need that jail. They need that beating, yelling, shouting, kicking, all these things. After that, they will get the akal, they will get the buddhi after that. So, therefore, the Lord removed Parikshit from the scene. And Parikshit also understood it. Okay, if I am there, Kali will not do his job. Lord doesn't want me here. He wants me to go back to God. He understood it and he was ready for it. So neither the devotee protests against Lord's plan and the Lord also doesn't counteract the apparent danger that comes. Why am I using the word apparent danger coming in the life of a devotee? For a devotee, there is no danger at all. Even the so-called dangers, what the other conditioned souls may consider as danger, is only danger for the conditioned souls. Because for a devotee, the only danger is lack of Krishna consciousness or lack of association. That Prahlad Maharaj says that, Trasto smyaham grabana vatsala dusta hogra samsara chakra grasitam pranita baddhasva karma virushattamate grimulam prito pavarga sharanam bhayase kadano. That was, he says, that Trasto smyaham, he says, I am very afraid, he says, of bad association of non-devotee atheists who constantly criticize you, my Lord, and when they criticize you, it is piercing my ears. I cannot tolerate anyone talking ill of you, he says. On the other hand, he says, Naham bivemi ajitate bhayanakasya jihvarkanetra bhruguti rabasogradam strat antrasraja kshatajake sharashankukarna nirghadabita digibha arivinnakagrat. In that verse, he says, Naham bivemi, I am not afraid of your mane soaked with blood, your sharp cutting tool like nails, and your heavy breathing, and your hairs flying and dissipating the clouds, and your eyes like sun and moon glowing, and your roaring thunderbolt like sound. None of it is frightening me because you are a personification of love. So he says, what I am not afraid of, what I am afraid of, both he is saying. Which means, devotee is least afraid of death. Because devotee knows very well, just like the cat and the kitten example Prabhupada gives. A kitten knows very well that my mother will pick me up by her mouth and transfer me to another place. Whereas for the same mouth of the cat becomes death personified for the rat. Mrityu sarva harascha. So devotee has no fear of death, and for a devotee it's just transfer from one place to another. So Lord transported all the yadus back to Godhead by this method. And regarding that, very nice explanations are given here. If you read the I will just show you some of the points. Here he says here, this is the first point. I have written down some 7 or 8 points, 12 Acharyas. Now quickly we'll go one by one. First is familiarity breeds contempt. Please read this. What Bhakti?
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, however, has revealed that although many demigods had taken birth in the Yadu dynasty to assist the Lord, some members of the Yadu dynasty were actually inimical toward Krishna.
Why they were inimical? Because the demigods have 2 components, material and spiritual component. So they have a desire to serve the Lord and they have a desire to dominate the world, both. So the desire to dominate the world, that portion caused them to become envious of the Lord. Yeah.
Because of their mundane vision of the Lord, they considered themselves to be on the same level as Krishna. Having taken birth in the family of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, they had inconceivable strength, and thus they misunderstood Krishna's supreme position. Having forgotten that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they would constitute a great burden, and consequently it was necessary for Krishna to remove them from the earth. This is a popular saying that familiarity breeds contempt.
Adiparichayat avajñāt.
To destroy the contemptuous members of his own dynasty, the Lord caused a quarrel among them. For this purpose, he arranged for Narada and other sages to display anger against the Karshnas, the members of his
Karshnas means those are followers of Krishna. Those are followers of Vishnu are called Vaishnavas. Those are followers of Radharani are called Gaudiyas. Yeah.
Although many Yadus who were devoted to Krishna were apparently killed in this fratricidal war, Lord Krishna actually returned them to their original positions as universal directors or demigods. It is the Lord's promise in Bhagavad Gita that He will always protect those who are favorable to His service.
So this is the second thing. First point was, the first point now we said was, familiarity breeds contempt. Mundane vision causes becoming inimical to the Lord. That was one point. Another thing, Lord removes the earth's burden by arranging wars. See here the second line you see, Durdyuta helana kacha grihanādibhistān. Like the bamboos upbraid with each other. You will see here. On the pretext of the battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna arranged for all kings who were burdening the earth to assemble with their armies on opposite sides of the battle. Lord killed them through the agency of war, and the earth was relieved of its burden. So Lord arranges wars to relieve the earth. Yeah. Okay. Now to complete his mission, remaining impious persons, through the war he finished them. Here another point is coming. Bhakti Thakur's point. What is that? Bhakti Thakur says, misrepresenting Lord's will. Lord was afraid that they should not misrepresent my will. Correct, no? That was one of his concerns. What is that? Whimsical?
Whimsical behavior.
Whimsical?
Behavior most probably.
Behavior, because of intimate associates, yeah. Okay. Here Lord is thinking, like, read the translation, full translation.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead used the Yadu dynasty, which was protected by His own arms, to eliminate the kings who with their armies had been burden of this earth.
You know that verse? What protected by His own arms? Where is that verse is coming? Govinda Bhujaguptayam. That's one verse. Dvaravatyam, like that it says. Bhujaguptayam means Lord protected Dwaraka like this. How can we kill them? But therefore it is said that Lord decided to end the dynasty to reduce the burden of the earth. Yeah.
Then the unfathomable Lord thought to Himself, although some may say that the earth's burden is now gone, in my opinion, it is because there still remains the Yadava dynasty itself, whose strength is unbeatable for the earth.
Yeah, here it says whimsical opposite behavior of intimate associates. Actually, we should exactly align with our master's wish and act, not act in opposite way. But he observed that some of the Yadus who became inimical to the Lord, he saw that they are acting in opposite way. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur's purport is very important here. Read it.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has remarked in this regard that although ordinary people might think that the Lord had now removed the burden of the earth by killing the demons, re-establishing dharma and so on, Lord Shri Krishna himself could detect that there was further danger from the irreligious activities of his own family members who were acting improperly. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that a just king will refuse to punish his own enemy if his enemy is innocent, but will punish his own son if his son actually deserves punishment.
Like Lord Krishna killing Bhaumasura, killing his own son, and protecting Prahalad, correct, no? Who was born in a Asuric family. Yeah.
It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus, although in the eyes of the world, the members of the Lord's own dynasty are always worshipable, Lord Krishna detected that by their intimate association with him, some members of the Yadu dynasty had become indifferent to his will. Since such whimsical members of the Yadu dynasty could act freely, being relatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they would surely cause great misfortune for the world, and foolish persons would take such whimsical behavior to be the will of Krishna. Thus, the Lord, whose desires are inconceivable, began to consider the need to annihilate the indifferent, contemptuous members of the Yadu family.
This is one great problem in this world. You see, even for example, a guru or acharya comes in this world, and then they have their followers. Sometimes a follower may be a very close associate of the acharya, but then they may, instead of conveying the will of the acharya, they may not align with the will of the acharya. They may sometimes propagate something else which is whimsical. And people seeing this fellow's connection to the acharya will take him as a representative. You understand, no? And therefore, that is a misfortune of the world. It can happen like that. And then people will be misled by that. That's happened in Nityananda Vamsh and Advaita Vamsh and certain gurus. Like Advaita Acharya had 6 sons, which 3 of them became Mayavadis. And 3 of them became devotees. So you will find that sometimes even in a lineage it can happen like that. So that is a great worry for any master, that his followers carry the same vision, mission, and they convey. Like Prabhupada, for example, is emphasizing so much on book distribution and preaching and expanding the movement. But there are some people now who are overemphasizing on being like Bhajananandis. Just study the scriptures and become more like a Babaji, chant more, study more. This was not Prabhupada's mood. It's completely against Prabhupada's mood. Prabhupada never said you chant plenty of rounds and just purify yourself. Nowadays the people celebrate chanting too many rounds. Somebody chanting 64 rounds. One fellow was brought to Prabhupada in Vrindavan. One fellow said he knows Bhagavad Gita A to Z, all the 700 verses. Any verse, Prabhupada, you tell the first word, he can recite the whole verse. Prabhupada was writing something, he just looked up and said, send him to kitchen, ask him to wash the pots. He said he didn't take it very seriously. Prabhupada was never fascinated by memorizing of shlokas or chanting of too many rounds like Haridas Thakur, or sitting within the 4 walls and doing one's own study and bhajan. Prabhupada actually wanted us to go out and do something. So now, like yesterday, I had a seminar in a company in one electronics, flash electronics. We had a seminar and they took some 360 books. They took Patha Perfection book. So nowadays I have decided that even if there are preaching programs, we are going to many places, we should always be very attentive to find out whether along with our lecture we can also push Prabhupada's books also. Like evening we had a couple of programs yesterday in Koth Road. So both the places, some 5-6 Bhagavatam sets, CC sets went. So we are giving one lecture, maybe 1 hour or 1.5 hours. Along with that, some sets of Bhagavatam also goes, because that will do a greater service than our lecture. Prabhupada said, what can your 2-minute talk do? But if you allow me to preach my purports, then I can enter their hearts and cleanse their hearts, which we don't have potency to do that. So, therefore, we should know the mood of the Acharya and adopt that mood. Even if we don't have that mood, we have to adopt that mood. How His Holiness Satyavrat Maharaj talks about that. He says, Satyavrat Maharaj says, I am a little shy person and I don't like to, enter into the privacy of other people. So once he went to a park and people are all sitting and drinking air in the park, relaxing, along with their family members. So Satyavrat Maharaj went with his books to distribute. He thought, should I spoil their happiness by pushing them to buy these books? He was hesitant. Then he's saying to himself, but what would Prabhupada do if he is here? Prabhupada would definitely go to these people and say, you want them to be peaceful, but they're peaceful in their illusion. So you have to penetrate into their illusion by showing them a book. So, okay, if you are a very polite and soft-natured person, go to the people and speak politely. Sir, Hare Krishna, how do you do? Is everything fine? You enjoy the park? Yes, I'm enjoying. Please enjoy this book also. So, actually, Satyavrat Maharaj very beautiful writes in one of his books, he says, we have to change our nature. If it is not natural to us to take the books and hit the street, we may think it's a very aggressive movement, all the time. Go out and distribute books and preach. Some people say, we need time for family, we need to be a little peaceful also. Actually, in the Prabhupada says, why this world is called a samsara? Because in the waves of the ocean, nobody can be peaceful. Nobody can be peaceful. Even if you have a boat also goes like this. You have seen that? Have you ever seen boat sitting like you are all sitting now? Can it be peaceful in the boat? Boat just like this in the middle of the ocean. Boat also goes like this, sometimes like this, sometimes like that it goes. So you don't expect smooth sailing in this world. Prabhupada writes in one purport line, Bhagavad Gita. Don't expect. Actually, no, if a devotee says, Prabhuji, my life is in perfect balance, he is in Maya, you will see that. How you will see that he is not doing much. Actually, he has capacity to do more, but he is not doing. Actually, it is artificially you can make a balance for some period of time, but you cannot be always in balance. Some balance will always go. Actually, those people who claim to be in balance, they have compromised on spiritual activities. So he says that His Holiness Gauravad Maharaj says, if somebody is fat and not dancing in Kirtan, he says balakapati. He has bal but is not dancing. Similarly, somebody has money in his pocket but is not giving charity. He is accumulating money. He is called dhanakapati, he says. Actually, we should experience a pinch in spiritual life. Then only, we can attract Krishna. Krishna says that, oh, this devotee is sacrificing so much for me, then I will go an extra mile in giving my mercy to this devotee. So, now we are running out of time now. Okay, now, so here another point is, if it is impossible for anyone, even the Lord's own family members, to understand the Lord's will completely. That's the third point. What is the second point we read now? That is, some of the members of the Yadu dynasty they turned against the will of the Lord, the demigod component. Whimsical behavior, that's second one. The first one is ati-parichayata-vajñā, familiarity breeds contempt. Second point is whimsical behavior of some of the Yadus. And the third one is, we cannot understand the Lord's will completely. Yeah. Here is Sridhar Swami is quoting, Bahubihi means kill them in four-armed form. That means actually, this is orchestrated by Lord himself, he is saying, Sridhar Swami. By his own arms, the same arms with which he protected, he finished their term in the material world and took them back. And then he says, Sridhar Swami says, the original form of Krishna as Govinda is two-armed, but it was by the plenary portion of four-armed Narayana that the Lord killed all the demons on the earth and ultimately removed the burdensome members of his own family. Why he is saying that? Krishna cannot do that. This is Krishna's expansion form, which is Vasudeva form, in which he performed this Leela. Because if you see what happened to Vijayavasis, that was a very smooth transition. You know that? The whole Vijayavasis, Krishna took them to spiritual abode. He showed them Golaka Vrindavan also, which was same as Bhauma Vrindavan, and later on, the last part of his life, he took all the Vijayavasis back home, back to Godhead directly. He didn't have to do this process. But for Yadus, he had to do this in what? How many armed form? 4-armed form. Like that he says. Then one more point he says here. Why didn't they oppose the Lord in his plan to remove from them from the earth? Therefore, the word aprameya is used, which indicates that it's impossible for anyone, even the Lord's own family members, to understand his will completely. That's another point. So, 4-armed form point is the third point. And the fourth point is nobody can understand the Lord's will completely. Even the explanation we are giving is to some degree, we are understanding by the Acharya's help. On our own, nobody will be able to understand his inconceivable plan. Then Jiva Goswami has given another reason for the restriction of the Vedic dynasty. Here he says, he emphasizes that the activities of the Supreme Lord should never be taken to be ordinary material activities, nor are the Lord's associates ordinary persons. Although Lord Krishna apparently incarnates in this world for some time and then goes away, it should be understood that the Supreme Lord is eternally situated with his entourage in his various abodes in the spiritual sky, such as Goloka, such as Gokula, Mathura and Dwaraka. The members of the Yadu dynasty are eternal associates of the Lord, and therefore they cannot bear to be separated from the Lord. Since Krishna was preparing to give up his earthly pastimes, if he were to leave the Yadu dynasty on the earth, they would surely become so disturbed by his absence that in their highly agitated state of mind, they would trample and destroy the earth. Therefore, Krishna arranged the disappearance of the Yadu dynasty prior to his own disappearance. Like that, Jiva Goswami gives this fifth explanation. Correct, no? So, and then Jiva Goswami concludes that ultimately the members of the Yadu dynasty are never to be considered irreligious. Like that he says. We should not think like that, he says. And then he says, and then Yadus cooperated with the plan of Krishna, fought with each other for Krishna's pleasure. Just like Bhishma fighting against Krishna, or Jai Vijay fighting against Krishna. The same manner they agree to align with the plan of the Lord. So, and one more lesson is given, sixth lesson here, that Yadus lost their possessions and their life to impress upon the conditioned souls that the temporary nature of material world. That's another thing he says. Yeah. That means in this world, here he says, here is the fifth point I've written here. When we see how fat settled war suddenly deprived the members of the dynasty of all their earthly possessions and even their lives, we can understand that there is no permanent position within this material world. So nobody should try to make a settlement in the material world. That's the point. And there's a sixth point. The apparent indifference or enmity of certain members of the dynasty towards Krishna should not be taken to be actual irreligion on their part. The entire situation was arranged by Lord Krishna to teach a lesson to the conditioned souls. That means even the demigods having that material component I told you, which was given by another Acharya, that shouldn't be taken as ordinary, he says. Because why demigods behave like that? Lord used them to behave like that to teach us a lesson that we should not become inimical to Lord or inimical to Acharyas. Acharyamam vijaniyam na avamanyeta karhichit. Krishna says, So, if they became inimical, that is to teach us a lesson, not that they had a problem, like that he says. In this connection, Jiva Goswami has cited several verses from Bhagavatam to prove that the members of the Yadu dynasty achieved their exalted birth in the Lord's own family by innumerable pious activities and by complete absorption in thought of Krishna. In fact, it is said that in sleeping, sitting, walking, speaking, they were unable to remember their own selves because they were simply thinking of Krishna. Then how can they be inimical? That means if they acted inimically, that is also orchestration of Krishna. In order to teach us a lesson that we should be very careful. Then one more. The setting of the sun does not mean the end of the sun. It means that the sun is out of our sight. Similarly, end of the mission of the Lord on a particular planet or universe only means that he is out of our sight. The end of the dynasty also does not mean that it is annihilated. It disappears along with the Lord out of our sight. That's another sun example. See, Bhagavatam Thakur has pointed out that ordinary people, hearing of the advantages of the Yadu family, might think that the heroes of the Yadu dynasty are worshipable as Krishna, or that they are independent controllers. In other words, people polluted by Mayavada philosophy might see the Yadu dynasty as being on the same level as Krishna. Therefore, they establish that even the most powerful living entity can never be equal or can surpass the Lord Krishna arranged for the destruction of Yadu dynasty. You understand, no? Some people ask, what about Pradyumna? What about Aniruddha? What about, are they all as worshipable as Krishna? To make the descendants of Krishna equal to Krishna, that would be faulty Mayavad philosophy. So Krishna wanted to show that although Yadurana and Simple are powerful, they are not equal to me or greater than me. That's another reason he has said. Yeah. There's another reason, external reason. The curse of Gandhari and the Brahmanas. These are external reasons. Gandhari told you are Janardhan. You could have stopped the Kurukshetra war, but you didn't stop it. So she accused Krishna of the sin of omission for not stopping the war. Therefore, she said, your dynasty also will be destroyed by war. Like that, who said? Gandhari said. So some foolish materialistic people will say that, see, Gandhari gave a curse, therefore it happened. But that is what reason is it? External reason. It's not a very important reason. Another reason is Brahmanas giving vipra-śāpa-vimūḍhānāṁ. That's also external, not a very important reason, because nobody can curse Yadus very easily. But Krishna allowed the Yadus to be cursed for teaching us an important lesson that we should not enrage the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. We should be very careful in dealing. To teach us a lesson, Lord makes the pure devotees. Lord teaches, like mother-in-law teaches the daughter-in-law through daughter. She cannot scold daughter-in-law. Already there is a strain. Don't make it more strain. So therefore she teaches through daughter. Correct, no? Like that, we are not fellows who can be easily corrected by anybody. We think I am perfectly fine. So Lord then takes the pure devotees and through them he teaches, see, these fellows did teasing, careless behavior towards Vipras and what they got. Do you want that? Then we also learn, oh, we have to be careful. He's teaching us like that. See, why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left no children? People ask, hey, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, two wives he had. I mean, he had Lakshmi Priya and later on Vishnu Priya. At least some children he would have left. Prabhupada says, no. Why he didn't leave? Because he didn't want his descendants to claim proprietorship of the parampara. He says that. Prabhupada says that. These are the main things which I have. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore avoided this impediment on the path of spiritual enlightenment. What happens? Because people give too much importance. Some sampradayas say that Guru's son only will become next Acharya, and then his son will become next Acharya. But the problem is, the son may not be as potent as his father in spiritual life. So Prabhupada didn't agree with that. Prabhupada also had 5 sons, and some of them claimed ownership of ISKCON also. They took ISKCON to court also. But Prabhupada said, no, I don't. My real sons are spiritual sons. My real daughters are spiritual daughters. There are 2 types of offspring. Now, one is seminal, one is spiritual. So, which is more powerful? Spiritual. Simply seminal is no. Seminal may have some piety, but so that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't live in his sons. And Prabhupada says that Advaita Acharya divested of his association of all sons except Achyutananda and 2 others. Achyutananda, the chief faithful son of Advaita Acharya, had no seminal progeny. And remaining 3 of the 6 sons of Advaita, Lord Advaita, fell from the path of devotion to the Lord and are known as rejected sons. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not produce descendants, like that he says. So that's another point, yeah. Okay. Main important points are over now. These are the... So you got an idea now. Somewhere I had given the entire summary of this, all the points. Lastly, same chapter. Sometimes I put all the points together. What is the number? What is the last book of this chapter? Here? No. I think second chapter end, I think. Here also there were some points. So anyway, but you all got it. Most of the points are covered. Okay. What is the second chapter, last verse? So in case I have written here. So, in one place I had put it all together. Anyway, these are very, very valuable inputs given by, acharyas. Yeah, this is, no, it's not there here. Okay, no problem. You got the point. Martial Leela. Devotees are not very happy discussing this Leela. But when it comes in the Bhagavatam, we can't run away from it. We have to accept it. At the same time, we can pick up lessons for our life. Don't do atiparicaya avajñāt. Don't become overly familiar with Vaishnavas and Acharyas and everybody. Like that's one lesson we learn. And don't become opposite to the Guru's desires. Don't act independently, whimsically. We can learn that. And also understand the glory of the pure devotees. They never protest against Lord's plans. And Lord also doesn't protest against some inevitability which comes because he has a greater plan. Lord's thought process is very, very deep and inconceivable. We are conditioned souls, we can't understand unless Acharyas explain it. So many, many lessons we learn from these things. Srimad Bhagavatam ki